And welcome finally to another video. I know the last time I made a video it was a spontaneous one in Armenia like 4 months ago. And as you see in the meanwhile I made it back to Germany somehow. I'm really happy about that. And I'm almost on my way back, to the Caucasus again, and I'm only here for a bit of time. Yeah, it was quite an adventure, and but I had a really nice time, really crazy time. I guess you also had some crazy time, and you didn't catch the insanity of the world, and I hope you don't catch that, and you stay sane. First of all, and yeah, so I want to talk about Lebanon actually because I don't have really new banknotes. I don't get new banknotes somehow, and so I decided to focus more on talking about stuff and showing what I already have. And I think there's no better video to make about other than Lebanon. There's no other video I would like to uh, do more than about Lebanon because I have a fascination for Lebanon. If you watch my videos when I was actually there, and it was still one of the most fascinating travels, and I'm really happy that I made it there because just exactly 1 year after the whole revolution started, and then the currency, the Lebanese pound, started to collapse, which really uh, caused quite a catastrophe for the country. And yeah, now just last week was last yeah just last week there was a catastrophe with the explosion. And one positive thing that it may have is that now the whole world knows about Lebanon, and also some start to be interested more about it and see that there's much more than just this explosion, which is going really bad in the country. And one of the worst things that happened is the collapse of the Lebanese pound, um, which may have been predictable if you would have studied really how the Lebanese financial system, and in connection with the monetary system, how it works, has worked over the last decades. And they did pretty well actually. Maybe in their situation, that central bank, director, he did what it could, and he basically implemented some sort of Ponzi scheme, some sort of scam to somehow maintain the relative stability of the whole system, especially the currency, because this was this symbol and the guarantee for the whole financial system of Lebanon to somehow keep certain stability, to have the Lebanese pound stabilized compared to the dollar, and having this dollarized economy where $1 is 1,500 Lebanese pound. And this used to be like that for uh, 20, 25, 26 years, 27, no, 26 years. It was like that, the same. Um, but as and you have to understand that it is not about just the bad like management of the central bank or something like that, but the main the big pressure on this whole system, or why they had to basically implement, this sort of system where they try to attract dollars somehow from abroad through promising high interest rate for the Lebanese banks. Lebanon used to be, even before, since the 70s or so, before the war, this they called it the Switzerland of the Middle East. And one thing about Switzerland is, is a hub for banks, a financial hub, and Lebanon used to be like that in the 70s, and then they kept it somehow to some extent after the war too. And well, what happened then in the last year was that, yeah, Lebanon defaulted on its debt for the first time. That they just said, no, we can't pay anymore our interest on our debt. And the Lebanese debt is like the third highest in the world compared to their economic output, and it's a huge pressure on the whole country, and it was too much. And at this point, it was no longer possible to maintain this rate, because they didn't manage anymore to attract dollars. So there was a shortage for US dollars. And what happens, supply and demand. If there's a less supply, which would have been necessary to meet the demand so that this rate would be met, of course, there emerged so-called black market, which is simply the true market, which would reflect the supply and demand for dollars versus Lebanese pounds. So the reason why the currency, collapsed compared to the dollars in the black market is because there was a much higher demand for US dollars than Lebanese pound, and how that they could supply, and in this state, with the defaulting debt and all the other insecurities and stuff, which creates like a chain reaction, because once the currency started to lose value, everyone tries to get as many dollars as possible and don't want to hold the Lebanese pound. So that started a chain reaction, and that's how the currency collapsed over the last months. Yeah, for comparison here, 10 dollars would be like 15,000, and 100 would be, and theoretically still are, like 150,000. And yeah, now as of today, $1 is like 7,500, and now 10 will get you like 75,000. And for 100, I don't have so many Lebanese pounds to show you, but it would be 750,000. So of course, you don't have to think very far to understand how catastrophic it is for the normal people. Basically, it wiped out all the middle class, or even like medium upper class or so, because imagine now your purchasing power which is highly correlated to this exchange rate because the prices also exploded. Because Lebanon is dependent on imports because they don't really produce much, which is absolutely horrible. The Lebanese economy is such a mess, and it has been for a very long time, for many decades, and yeah, they never managed to build up a yeah better economy to stabilize it. And I know it's hard to who's to blame or so, and people like to just blame it on the government, but it's more complicated. It's much more complicated. It would be way too easy to just blame it on yeah the corrupt government and stuff like that. There's much more to it, of course, and um yeah. So just so much about that. And yeah, now the Lebanese currency is basically trash, and um, it doesn't look like it would. Okay, it kind of stabilized. I think at this level, 7,500 or something like that. But what that means is that the purchasing power of the people was cut by like 5 times. Yeah, exactly 5 times. 5 times 7,500. Yeah. So imagine if you can only buy 1/5 of what you could have bought before with your salary, and it's really catastrophic. And now you have the explosion, which essentially, if you look at the photos and things like that, the damage is really bad when it comes to basically all the shops and all the businesses, restaurants, and everything in a radius of like several kilometers in the city center of Beirut. So uh, yeah, basically they they uh, like hundreds and maybe even thousands of businesses just got destroyed by that, and it's really difficult. And the worst thing is that it will take there's no quick solution to it. Now we have all the protests and so, and okay, government just resigned, but this changes nothing, really nothing. So for the next years, things will be just really bad in Lebanon. And yeah, for me, it's also quite sad to watch it. And I would love to still, go to Lebanon one day. Yeah, okay. This was just kind of a spontaneous talking video about Lebanon. Maybe you're interested in the whole topic, and I could talk about it much longer. Um, and I I don't know exactly how I will continue the channel. Maybe I will do just some more videos like that where I just show what you may have already seen, but I talk more deeply about yeah such topics. Also, for example, I could talk about Iran, the Iranian rial, because it's also uh, such a topic of yeah, which has to do with high inflation and difficult economic situation and things like that. And maybe it's interesting to know about that stuff because actually what has happened just in the last months is that we have seen many other fiat currencies just get yeah not completely collapsing, but just getting hit very hard. I know for yeah many currencies they just collapse by 10 or 20%, and I guess in general the whole next years or so will be a period of high inflation and stuff like that. So it all fits maybe in the general course of the times that we're in such an age where yeah fiat currencies are just getting debased really quickly. Yeah, an age of inflation. And maybe I will just continue down this path and I just put much more information about it, and it's not just about the banknote itself, because yeah, at the moment in general I'm not really getting new banknotes, and honestly I have shown you most of the currencies of the world, and maybe I just continue like that. And okay, I won't be in Germany for that long anymore. I will go back to Georgia, and yeah, there I don't have yeah my collection with me, but yeah, who knows? Let's just be spontaneous, and I hope you just liked that video. You just enjoy me talking about stuff like that, and yeah, see you next time.